Hi again, everybody. It's Courtney Toyama with Toyama's Thrifty Trinkets, and I wanted to just go ahead and do a quick video on my record keeping. I know that I've had a couple of requests for this. Since I am a small business as an independent consultant, I don't have the need for spreadsheets and things like that, and I also don't really trust computers to hold on to information. If a hard drive crashes, you're out of luck when the tax man comes to call. So I have a really simple but really effective system, and I will show you it. I call it my binder system. So it is a setup of 5 binders, 4 that I carry with me. The first one is my inventory, what I have in stock. Of course, this is going to be a little bit backwards because it is recorded through the selfie camera. So the first one's my inventory, pretty self-explanatory. I keep track of every piece, ingoing, outgoing, damaged, that kind of thing. I go through about once a month and I count how many pieces I have. I write down any that were damaged or any that were returned in this binder. Of course, I have them color-coded so they are easy for me to grab. This one is my permits. It says permits and receipts, so I put my table receipts in here if I set up at an event where I have a booth. I put my table receipts in here with any contract for that event and any permits, because some places require that you have a permit to sell. A good example is a local flea market is in an area where they require a permit to sell anything, even if you're having a yard sale. They require the permit. The permit is $25, but if you don't have it, the fine is like $2,500. So any permits like that, if you have, say you sell for another company or whatever, and you have a sales tax permit or sales tax license, things like that, sometimes you have to display certain things where you go and sometimes you don't. But I always keep them handy in here whenever I go anywhere. So that was binder number 2. Binder number 3 and binder number 4 are my sales and expenses, and these are the 2 most important ones. And the reason why I say these are the 2 most important ones is because at the end of the year, these are the 2 that you're going to need. So we're going to start with the expenses. The expenses, as you see, like I said, I keep these color-coded for myself and for my own sanity. In the expenses, I keep a running record that is dated. Of course, this front sheet has some scribbles on it. I do need to go through and amend a couple of things that I had messed up on. But I always have the date, what was paid and to whom, and the total that was paid. And this is really, really helpful to have it on the sheet here because you can total it up at the bottom. This one does not have a total at the bottom because, as I said, I have some scribblies. But you total it up at the bottom, and then everything on this sheet here should have supporting evidence, whether it be a receipt, an invoice, a statement. So say you pay a table fee through PayPal, you would have the invoice through PayPal and any receipt that they sent you. Let me go in here and show you. A lot of receipts that you get from places that you go to, say Walmart, it has the heat-sensitive paper. So over time, they fade and they get gross, or they get those black marks on them, and then you can't tell what you spent or what you bought. So what I do is, let me get to that page real quick. Now it's in here. Here it is. I take the receipt and I tape it to a blank piece of copy paper. Really super easy to do. And then I photocopy it. Now this one hasn't been photocopied yet because I just put it in here for the video. But you just photocopy it, and then you can set this aside in another binder so that you have the original. However, it's best to have the copy in here. So this would be your supporting evidence for whatever line on here for the date that you spent for the business. Now, if you go to Walmart and you need to pick up Pampers, printer ink, and Post-it notes, put your Pampers on a separate receipt because it's just going to confuse you in the end. So you need to have only business expenditures in your expense folder, binder. Again, you could do this on an Excel spreadsheet or something of that nature. I choose to do it on paper because I trust what I write and I can support it with the evidence. Versus if a hard drive crashes, a computer breaks down, you might not have this information anymore and you're scrambling to get it. Good luck finding some of it. So, and things like PayPal, you can go on and print out your fees once a month and it tells you your total fees that were paid. Same thing with Square. So your expenses are all accounted for. Now these ones have not been hole punched. I'm slacking a little on my paperwork. But you write the date on here. So the ones that I just did on Saturday contain my PayPal fees and everything. I apologize, you're probably not going to be able to see this with the way the camera focuses, but I have my PayPal fees here and my supporting evidence here that will go in this side of the binder. When a binder gets full or at the end of the year, I simply label the end. These ones are not full yet. Label the end, put them on my shelf, get another binder, and start over again. You never really want to, you can have years that run together and everything, but for the taxman purposes, you're going to want to make sure that you just have, this would be the year 2018. All right, so that's expenses. Now sales. Sales is probably one of the, out of the two, it's probably the most important. Because in the business that I'm in, I'm an independent consultant, so I do a lot of cash and carry. It is still very important to keep track of every single sale. So, your expenses are important because you need to know how much you spent on your business, how much you spent on inventory and everything else. You are going to want to keep track of all of your sales. Now, I used to do it in a similar manner to my expenses. I recently I don't want to call it upgrading because I still do it on paper, but I changed it around a little for my sanity, and I will just show you one of these pages. Instead of having it vertical, I flipped it horizontal, and I can supply anybody who would like, if you send me a message, the Word document that I used to make these. Oh, backwards. So for my own sanity, these ones have the date, the buyer, the party, the different types of items. So they could have purchased adults, kids, Zai collection, other, the total, and I put a check mark if it was paid. Because, as we all know, sometimes you have to hold things for a week or two till somebody gets paid, but you don't want to short yourself and you don't want to overcharge them. So every time they pay it, it gets a check mark. Now these are my records from clear back to August because I did just transfer everything over. So let me see if I can find a more recent one. Here's a more recent one. This is just for my sales within the last week. So as you see, if you are selling for Paparazzi or any other independent consultant, if you are going to have a party, here's the date of the party. Here are the customers who purchased. Again, I have some squigglies and scribblies because I need to neaten these up a little. It's driving me bananas. And the party person. So these were all purchases made at this party. But it allows me to put that this person bought adults and kids without putting them on another line. And that confuses you when you're trying to go through and get totals. If you have to put the adults items, the kids items, the Zai items on a separate line when someone might have bought one of each. So you use a lot more paper and there's a lot more headache. And then of course everybody's totals are right here at the end. So then whenever they're paid through PayPal, cash, whatever, just a check mark. Now I had my Blingo event And my Blingo event allowed me to mark the total for the event because it was cash and carry right across here. Ooh. That's the beauty of it. So you're still keeping track of your cash and carry, as well as anything paid for through PayPal, through Square, everything. All of your sales are right here. At the end of every sheet, just like your expenses, you can total it up at the bottom. And as I said, I'll be happy to share this spreadsheet with anybody who wants it. But this way, you have an accurate record-keeping system. It takes me about, one of my biggest questions is how long does it take? Especially because I do it by hand on paper. And the truth of the matter is, it takes me 20 minutes after my last live show for the week to go through, invoice people, and write it down. I always have on hand my notebook. And I always tell people this who want to know this little trick. You always have a notebook when you're selling. Always, always, always. I don't care if you're doing cash and carry. I don't care if you're doing a party, you're doing a live. You scribble everything down on here. While the event is going on, whatever, you scribble it all down on here. This is where you make your mess. This is where you scribble out your mistakes. Except for, like I said, I had just transitioned some of these new papers over. But you write your stuff, you scribble out your mistakes, and then you transfer it neatly into your binders legibly so that you don't have any other issues. And then once you are done with the party or anything that you are keeping track of, you just rip it out and shred it. You're done with it, you're over with it. It's already logged in your books. If something goes unpaid and you're going to repo it, do not mark it paid. Mark it as repo, put it back in your inventory. Easiest thing to do. So, this week here, this is a new party. So this is the current one. This is the one that I just finished putting in there. So it'll get ripped out and shredded. And this is all the new stuff that'll be put in this week. It'll be put into either the expenses or the sales as need be. But always, always a notebook. They're cheap at end of school clearance or end of back to school clearance. I think I pay a couple cents a notebook. It's cheap and you can throw it away and you never have to look at it again. But it helps out a ton, especially if you're selling in person, because you can keep track. If you are doing a cash and carry sale, you can keep track of exactly how many pieces you sold that day, instead of at the end of the day going, well, I started with this much in change, which, by the way, I always recommend between $100 and $150 in change. So that's a nice little helpful tidbit. But if you are considering becoming a paparazzi consultant, you can fill out my Google Doc below, and I can send you the things that you should know before you start, or things that I wish I would have known before I start, because everybody can always learn something new. You can also follow me here, subscribe, or through Facebook or TikTok. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. I'm always available and I'm always happy to answer them, because you can never have enough information. So until next time, bye.